God, it's the BC3 Amigos. We are back. We're here for the holiday session. Guys, happy holidays to everybody. I know you're probably all pumped up getting ready for year-end, accounting things, but you know what? The BC3 Amigos felt we don't really want to talk, show you some BC stuff this month. We don't want to chat about AI. We really want to have a little holiday special. And we felt it was really cool to invite Kurt Jurvins and Sam Cook in to talk about BC talent, because this is really hot. This is what's really going to be hot for the next couple of years. It's also because where do you find your BC talent? Whether you're whether you're a partner, whether you're a customer looking for talent, and you're kind of obviously going to steal some partner person. But you know what? We felt the two experts need to come to us, celebrate holiday, drink some eggnog, and eat some turkey or ham and everything like that. But let's have a little holiday. So, Kurt and Sam, welcome.
It's amazing to be with you. We are very honored to be here. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. I haven't brought any eggnog, so I hope that wasn't a requirement. But
just put some whiskey in your coffee.
Yeah, I can do that. I can definitely do that.
So let's do this before we kind of dive deep into what both of you do. Just give us a little who you are, where do you work, and stuff like that. I think most people know, but Kurt, why don't you start? Just introduce yourself to the group here.
Absolutely. So I'm Kurt. I'm part of the Business Central engineering team inside Microsoft. So we are in the department which is called the Partner and Customer Success team. And we basically do all kinds of initiatives to help partners with their success with Business Central. I've been with Microsoft for almost 2 decades. So have been spending approximately 13 years in the corporate environment, but I've also spent quite a bit of time in the Belgium subsidiary because I live in Belgium, not in Denmark. And before that, I've been working with a customer and a partner. So actually my whole career I've been spending on the product so far.
Fantastic. Well, welcome. Sam, why don't you introduce yourself to the group?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Sam. I work for a business called Revelance. We are a Microsoft workforce development partner. So our entire business really is about helping other partners to grow the ecosystem. So we're focused on how we can attract great new people to this wonderful ecosystem and then train them and help them be successful in their careers. About 3 years ago, that led me to a conversation with Kurt about how do we do this for Business Central specifically, which has got us to where we are now for the BC Talent Program.
Fantastic. Well, both of you, welcome again. Let's hit the ground running really hard, and obviously let's really talk about what BC Talent's all about and what you guys are doing. So for someone hearing about this for the very first time, what exactly is the Business Central Talent Program, and who is it designed for, or maybe included in? So why don't you guys have some fun with that, and we'll go from there.
I'll start with the problem statement. So because we are Microsoft and we, of course, deliver software, we're not really a talent company, but we just saw that our growth was limited by the amount of people that we have in our ecosystem. We also see that people are getting more and more experienced, but we need a much more diversified ecosystem of people. Like we need younger talent. We need people with much more diversity in every aspect that you can think of. So basically, that was kind of like the problem statement. We really want to grow the ecosystem. Our partners are really good of poaching people from each other. That doesn't really work, doesn't really help anybody. So there was at some moment in time a lunch which I had with Mike Morton when I was sitting in the canteen in the lovely development center in Copenhagen. And he said hey, you know what? Is there something that we can do about capacity? And just adding capacity and adding people to this amazing ecosystem. And so this is where it actually all started. And then I had a conversation with Sam, right? And Sam, this is where we got introduced, and maybe you should talk a little bit about those first months together.
Yeah, sure. So we'd been running our model as a business, as I said, is all about trying to help predominantly partners to grow talent. And growing talent for us means hiring people with transferable skills. So not so much, recruiting a graduate through ourselves, but we'll help find someone who's got transferable skills. And that usually means someone who's got industry expertise and they know business processes. They're just doing it in a different way. Or it might be someone who's working with a different product and they should jump across and start working with Dynamics instead. And then we obviously have to train these people. So we build pathways, we work with different trainers to make sure that we're upskilling people in the right way, to give them both the product and the soft skills they need to be successful in their new career. So that's what we do as a business. And what we realized was that there were certain parts of our business model that we could adapt and we could change and we could make really specific for BC partners. And it's the first time that we've really done that. We run this across lots of different products and ecosystems, but really this was the first time with Kurt and the team where we said, let's adapt this and make it super specific for one particular product for BC. So Kurt got me to rip up our business plan and business model and change it a bit and make it specific for the BC ecosystem, which is what we did. And then we decided, right, how can we test if this is going to work? So we got together with a pilot group of partners, told them about the plan, convinced them that if they were first, they would help shape the future for us, which is exactly what they did. And we kicked off with a pilot for what is.
So how did you recruit those pilots? How did you recruit the people for that pilot?
Yeah. So Rob, great question. So basically, what we did is. Honestly, again, like I'm in engineering, I didn't really know what a talent program should look like. And maybe a little bit of color to what Sam actually just said is like before I started this initiative, I had extremely strong feelings about recruiters, working together with recruiters, because I heard so much feedback from partners that working together with recruiters didn't really work well.
You mentioned that a few times. He did mention that quite a few times in our first few calls. I could see him sort of like scowling at me from the other side of the screen.
My first conversation with Sam was like, listen, our partners are telling you that this, and this is going wrong with working together. And there were, there was a really great conversation because, Sam handled that really well because he took some points. He basically also replied that some points were effectively not really true. And then he said, like, you know what, we're going to do this differently. But Rob, to get back to your question, like, how do we get there? Like, first, when you start an initiative like this, you really want to work together closely with partners that have an issue with capacity, that you know really well, that are willing to experiment and invest in this. So invest not only in some funds, but really constantly wanted to give you constructive feedback. So basically, we did call up some partners that I knew really well. And basically, we decided to say, like, you know what, we're going to start with 10 partners. But, the news started spreading, although we really tried to keep it really contained. And at 30 partners, we actually had to close the door and basically says, like, listen, this is not a pilot anymore. If we go broader than this, like, we can't manage it. More than 30 partners. So basically we stopped at 30 partners and we tested it for, I would say I think we started somewhere in January, February, Sam, and then we went live more broadly at Directions spring in Europe. So it took us approximately a year before we were able to start talking about it more broadly. Because we really wanted to build up that experience. Like, is this what you need, partners? Is this what's really working for you, and is this what was needed? And when I started it, the thing that I thought was most important for partners was that we would be able to find new people for them, so the recruitment aspect and the product training. Like, that was my naive thinking of this is what we need for the program. And what I learned was that partners sometimes have their own recruitment engines that you don't want to disrupt. So recruitment should be something optional. And the second thing, product learning is actually broadly available. Like we do lots of things like Microsoft Learn and our documentation. It's getting better every day. So it's not only about the product learning, it's about guided product learning and, very important, professional skills training. Professional skills, how to handle a customer, how to handle a pre-sales, how to handle difficult conversations, how to deal with difficult characters out there, etc., etc. And that's basically where we shape the program towards in that pilot phase with those key partners, with those pilot partners. Rob, I hope that answered your question.
Well, that was the first part, but then how did you get the people that came to the, if you will, the candidates to be hired?
Yeah, I'll take that one. So the candidates that we hire is a really interesting one because as I said before, it's all about someone who's got transferable skills. So they've got a starting point and you can use that experience to basically accelerate how quickly they learn BC. So the most common profile we have is if we're trying to help a partner to find a future finance consultant, that person is likely to be an accountant. They've spent their education and their early career in finance and following that dream of being a successful accountant. They've then had a moment where they think, do I want to do something different? I've got some systems experience now. They've probably used an ERP along the way. Do I want to do something different with my career? And what's really interesting is someone for us, we'll look at their their resume. We'll look at their resume and we'll see a really clear transferable skill set. Like this person is perfect to become a finance consultant in BC. And when we speak to them, they don't know the career exists. We've got lots of people in Europe, and we use one person as an example all the time of this. 8 years experience as an accountant. So he knows everything you need to know about finance, really. He worked with Navision as a user. And when my recruitment team called him for the first time and said, have you ever thought about becoming a Business Central consultant? He said, nope, didn't know that was an option, didn't even know the career existed. So he's using the product, and even then he didn't know that it was available to him. So that for us is a real eye-opener. And I think there's a broader challenge there that we have as a program to keep generating awareness that this great career exists. And that's one of the things we're doing. But when it comes down to finding someone specifically for a partner, it's still a very traditional recruitment search. We've got a team of experienced recruiters based in the US and based in London. We work with a partner to design that profile. So, what does the partner believe a transferable skill set's going to be based on the requirements they have? And then really it's about my team going out and looking for people. One of the benefits we have, and this has become a bit more of a long-term thing as the program's gone on, us being able to go to people who are at that point in their life where they're thinking about doing something different and using the power of this is a Microsoft program really helps. Because if that person if they don't know Business Central exists, they've never heard of Revelant when we first contact them. But when we can say we're part of the BC talent team, this is a Microsoft-backed program, it really helps us bring some good people through the door. And if you went out as a partner, you wouldn't have that same sort of appeal and power as you get from having that big shiny Microsoft logo as front and center of the program. So that helps, but it's really a traditional search.
So Sam, this is funny the way Rob asked your question because it spawns a very big question. So, you're going out there, you're finding this talent, and you're trying to find participants in this journey. So is there a specific onboarding program that you have? Like, is there specific, like, to the training, to the potential job placement? Do they kind of know where they're going to end up? And kind of like, how does that play into this as you're speaking to a participant? So as our listeners are listening to this and they're really, oh my God, I'm very interested, give us like a scenario of how the onboarding works and how it ends up in the end.
Yeah, sure. So it all starts with the partner. So there's a lot of training programs where if I'm interested in a career switch, I can start doing some training, maybe part-time with no guarantee of a job. And that's great. That serves a purpose. but that's not what we're doing. So we always start with a partner. So we have a partner telling us, I want to recruit someone. This is my profile. We've got a need to bring some new blood into the team. So when we start contacting people for the first time, there is a guarantee, assuming they're successful in the process, obviously, there's a guaranteed job. So it's not like they're going on this production line of training and then they're hoping and waiting for a job. They're only starting training once the person has been through an interview process with us, been through an interview process with the partner, and at that point, the training and the coaching and development aspects of the program kick off on the first day that they start the job. And the onboarding is really important. So my role in this is to meet with partners, talk to them about the program. And one of the first things that I can, if they don't ask it, I can see they're thinking about it is, how do I make sure I onboard this person properly so that they're successful quickly, but also that they stay? You know, I don't want to train someone and then them leave and go elsewhere. And I totally understand that. So we work with each partner to design a bit of an onboarding plan. So that'll include things like, how much time per week do you expect someone to spend learning with us? What mentor mechanism do you have in the business? So is this person going to be sat in the corner on their own, left to it? That's not the answer we look for. We want to make sure that we know who's kind of looking after them and who can they turn to for bits of support when they need it. So how much time they're committing, who's going to be supporting them, what activities is the partner going to do with this person? So a great example of one of our partners, 2 days a week, they say to their people, you're not doing any training, you're working with us, you're shadowing workshops, you're joining team meetings, you're starting to work on this project, you're doing this with the team, you're in the office. So they're kind of building a plan of things the partner will do, and then they're building a plan around what we'll do to take some of that time back from the mentor, to take time back from their managers and the rest of their team. So every single person has an onboarding plan, and that can vary. That's really important because that's for new people. So brand new people who are learning BC for the first time. But we've also got lots of people in the program who are perhaps, they're in the support team of a partner and they want to make the move into becoming a consultant. So they might only have 10 hours a week to spend learning because they still have to do a full-time job. So we tailor the plan around how much time they can really spend with us in training. So there's really an initial 10 to 12 week plan, which is where training's at its most intense. Usually at that point around week 10, we can take someone with no experience at all and start getting them on chargeable work, which is always good news for the partner. That's normally question one. When can I get this person chargeable? So for consultants, it's usually around week 10.
Well, where in the program, and when I was at EMEA, I participated in that escape room program. That was pretty intense. I was impressed with how it's built right in Business Central, and you have to follow all these things completely or you don't get out. Where does that fall into play with your program?
Yeah, so Rob, let me take that one. So Sam was actually elaborating on part of what we do at the beginning because, the plan that he was talking about was not only on the product learning, but it's also on the professional skills and then the individual coaching that we do. So the individual coaching basically follow-ups every week with the candidate on the progress that we're making on product learning, professional skills learning, and as Sam also said, we really focus a lot on making sure that these new hires are integrated in the business as soon as possible. Don't put them in a corner, right? Then they go through a full trajectory. We give them also weekly community update sessions with MVPs, with Microsoft experts, with other external experts. And to come to your question, at some moment in time, we basically want to graduate that new hire. And that's typically around a year after they've been onboarded into the program. We basically have a checklist, like, did they do their product learning? Do they have the certification? Have they done all the professional skills coaching? Have they done a masterclass? That's a concept that, it's specific on typically soft skills, where they have to really do a little bit of study and exercises on a specific topic? Have they done one specific masterclass? And then at the end, we do indeed this really fun, which we just launched, Rob, escape room experience, where in the product they've been faced with a problem, whether they're a developer or consultant, and just like with an escape room, they need to get out. Rob, you can probably testify. There's a leaderboard in front of the room, and everybody just tries to escape and do all of these exercises within as fast as possible. It's a fun way of testing people's capability. Is just this, the MB 800 and the MB 820 that we have, which is just a multiple choice. This is in product. It's fun. You get hints, that kind of stuff. So yeah, at the end of the road, when we want to graduate, that's where the escape room exercise actually comes in.
I didn't realize it was a full year program. That's pretty involved.
So as Sam said, the beginning is pretty intense. So the training, the product training, the professional skills, but we always cater towards having the persons as much in the business as possible. Once they're ramped up after those, as Sam said, 10 weeks, we want to keep them on the hook. Like getting to a certification typically takes 3 to 4 months before you can get through that, right? We want to keep them every week into the program. We want to do these master classes. And only after a year, we say like, yes, now you've got that, let's say, proficiency in the business to really do more expert stuff. So it's not that they need a year. We just want to make sure that they're really, really good. And that's why we keep them, we keep feeding content to them and keep challenging them for a full year in the program. Make sense?
That was great.
Kim, did you have a question?
Yeah, I do. So, okay, I'm the dollars person, right? What does the part? I guess, how does all the dollars come together? The partner's going to pay the person as an employee, and then do they pay something to BC Talent? What's the scoop there?
Can we? We're going to take this one together, but Kim, I want to do a little bit of an exercise with you, and Sam knows where I'm going with this.
Okay.
Not the exercise.
Could you take a? We're not going to talk about the salary. We're just going to talk about the offering, right? Could you do a little bit of calculation for me? What is like, if you think about product training, like just getting to an MB 800 certification or MB 820. What is it that you would typically pay if you would send somebody to a training exercise like that? Just give me a number.
So training, this is somebody that needs to learn BC all the way up to getting that certification?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Just give me a number. Doesn't matter. Doesn't have to be 100% correct.
Yeah, I honestly don't have any idea.
So Kurt, I'm going to interject here for a second. And that's one of the things that Steve, Kim, and I have gone through. Back in the day, this is the way it worked. It was free to the partner because Navision, back in the day, Navision had Navision Academy. What it cost the partner was, a week in a hotel, an airfare, and maybe some meals, because even back then, Navision gave us free lunches and dinner breakfast. So it really was not very onerous.
I get that, Rob. That was a couple of decades ago. Unfortunately, the world today looks a little bit different, right? Like for every product, you need to go to certification.
So,
let me help you a little bit.
I mean, if you're really looking for a rough number, I mean, I would say if you had to throw a number out there, and it's going to take them a couple of weeks, so I would say, somewhere between that $10,000 and $16,000.
Okay, let's keep that number.
Really? I think that's low, but okay.
Okay, but just assume that that's the number. Okay. Then keep in mind that we do professional skills training. So the professional skills training is 10 sessions, half a day. So just 5 days of professional skills training by the best in the industry. Just put a number up there. What would it cost?
10 sessions, so that's 1 week, 10 sessions, half a day over, and it's a real hours. Professional. I mean, so I'm going to go, I'd say if it's a high level person, it's going to probably cost us $10,000 at least to get them.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
So we're now at around 25, right?
Yeah, we're up to about a quarter. Yeah, 25,000.
Then what I want you to know is that we have a coach that will follow up with you every week, sometimes individually, sometimes in a small group. It's going to spend an hour, 2 hours with the new hire so that you can focus on the business instead of your new hires. We do that for, well, as long as it's needed. But we typically see that after 6 months, that coach is walking in the way of the business. But keep in mind that it is about, let's say, 25 weeks. If we think about it, half a year, approximately 1 hour. So 25 weeks of individual coaching. Put a number on that, on top of that.
1 hour, 25 weeks. So this is going to be a professional coach. So
Yeah.
I was going to say, it's easy to know that because it's professional. These people are going to charge high numbers for an hour of their time.
But then on a weekly basis, we have, and this is what I feel is super important, program. Every week we come in with best practice sessions because what we want to avoid, or next generation sessions is what we're going to call it now, community sessions where every week somebody from Microsoft engineering comes in, an MVP comes in, or subject matter experts like neural impact. We've got lawyers coming in for negotiation workshops. So every week there's a session that you can attend. You don't have to attend. But let's say that you have 52 sessions of those as well. It's very hard to put a number on that, but let's just say 52 times a few $100. Let's just say another 10K on top of that, because I'm going to help you with that one, right?
They get all of that training? That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Negotiations? Wow.
Yeah. So basically, and this doesn't include the recruitment piece, right? The recruitment piece is something else. So I think that if we come to a number, we're actually close to 50K, right?
We're up there.
Sam, now it's up to you.
So the training costs $8,500. So fixed fee per person. Fixed fee per person.
The whole thing is $8,500.
All of that was just said.
Yeah. Everything other than us helping you recruit the person. So it's Kurt uses the phrase "no-brainer" a lot, and I think that's pretty accurate from a commercial. If you take away anything else, just the commercial aspect, it's a no-brainer on pricing.
So for me, it was really important that the program, as a program manager, that we steered the program towards something which de-risks for the partner and makes it, as Rob just was alluding to, makes sure that it's cost friendly, so that you don't have to go and reinvent the wheel. Because Sam and the whole team can do this at scale worldwide, we can actually lower the prices significantly. Right.
So you pay them a small salary, I mean, because they're learning, but you're giving them a salary to start. So they're employed. We're paying the BC talent team about $8,500 to go through a program that's going to last a long time over the spanning of 52 weeks, as you said, Kurt. So here's an interesting question. I mean, obviously you've been doing this now for more than a year. You've had great results with it and everything like that. Have you over time fine-tuned everything along the way? Because obviously this is more of you're learning as you go too. So it's a double-edged sword. You're learning and you've gotten feedback from the partner, or maybe you've gotten feedback from the participants to actually figure this out. But when they learn BC, that's one thing. And let's just put BC in a box over here. But then if I'm a teacher, a fireman, a nurse, I'm trying to pick the garbage collector person, and I'm going to change my career. I've decided, Sam and Kurt, Steve's going to change his career. No, I'm not really, but you know what I mean. I'm going to change my career and I'm going to join the program. Like, how do you take all of what you just said, Kurt and Sam? How do you take all this and make me a consultant? Like, where are the buttons going to be pressed? Like you're playing a piano here. How are you going to make me that consultant that Kim and Rob need for their practice now? How are you going to make me that person that I'm going to want to keep? If you know what I mean? Like, can you kind of give us a little education on that side of the equation?
Well, hold on, Steve. I wouldn't, as the hiring manager, I wouldn't go to Sam saying, hey, give me a former fireman or a nurse. They're already going to exclude you because they're looking at the talent pool saying, We want somebody who has that experience. They're not trying to say, oh, come see us and we'll change your career. Isn't that correct, Sam?
So we will hire people based on what the partner tells us is a transferable skill set. So often it's an accountant, but we've got partners who only deliver retail projects. So for them, finding someone who's a retail operations manager or an e-commerce manager, the main theme is it's someone who understands the industry that you're going to try and serve as a partner. So even if we train them on nothing, which as we've just talked about, we obviously give them lots of training. My view and what we try and guide partners on is find a transferable skill set of someone you could put in a room with your customer. And if they don't know anything about BC, they can still talk to them about challenges. They can still talk to them about processes. They understand the industry that you're trying to implement in. Because then that's half the battle. Half the battle's covered.
I have a question. As you've talked about finance a couple of times, right? What about manufacturing?
Yep.
Is that's a place in the BC world where I feel like there's a real need, right? For every partner, people with
absolutely.
good manufacturing experience. Do you find that more difficult?
Not necessarily more difficult. No. I think that we've covered a huge range of different skill sets and different industries through the hiring proportion of the program. In Europe in particular, we get lots of interesting requests from partners who have got a super niche industry focus, and they need them to speak a certain language and live in a certain city that no one can get to. So, the search can become really interesting for our team sometimes. But I talk about finance as an example because it's what lots of partners ask us for. But we do this across the board. So in our deck, when we present it to partners, we've got a finance person. We've got Olivia on there, she was formerly a production planner, and she's then used that as the basis of her career in BC. And then we've got someone on there who's a retail operations manager previously. And we do this for developers as well. We talk about consultants all the time, and it's a habit me and Kurt have fell into a little bit, but we do this for developers too.
And there's one thing that I would love to add to it, because also, again, we're learning, as Steve was actually alluding to, the people, the firefighters that you were just talking about, Rob, but also the accountants and supply chain experts, the people that basically took the bold decision that they want to change their career. What we see is that their mindset is so different than if you would hire that consultant that is now working for your competition. Because if you hire in that consultant or the developer that is working for your competition, they know if it doesn't work out with you, they have enough experience to go to another of your competitions and know that they will earn even more money, right? But the person that leaves everything they knew behind, their colleagues behind, the tools that they used behind, and that stepped into this new career where it's everything or nothing, you can really see, we hear it from the partners basically said they're uplifting the mentality of the whole company. And that was something, again, as an engineer at heart, I was never, I couldn't even dream of. I can't even dream this up. This is just the feedback that we've been getting from the partners. And that is so exciting to see. And now what we see, since the program is live for a couple of years, that those people are starting to make promotions within the partner business. We see them becoming team leads, practice leads. So we're super proud of these individuals. So mentality is a really big thing that we see with these people that brought in through the program.
I see a lot of good people, maybe not with clients or other partners, but just people you meet in business, right? And they feel stuck in their position. They're really bright, but moving up within whatever organization they're in is difficult, right? But they're paid pretty darn well. And so for them to change positions where the partner could afford to bring in this person would be an excellent consultant, has that industry knowledge and that position knowledge, whether it be accounting or manufacturing or retail. And it's just there's just no way to bring them in and make it make dollar cents for the partner. And yet I know in the long run it would be a good move, but that's a tough part that I see.
It's a particularly tough. I was just wanting to say to Kim's point there, that is a really, really common scenario that I've seen in the past. So my background before doing this particular job, I was in recruitment. So I could see this firsthand. You would have someone who's got industry expertise, maybe an end user background. They want to become a consultant. They want to work for a partner. Partner loves the person, but they would say, well, how am I going to train them? How am I going to onboard them? How am I going to support this person's career journey? And then they would say, well, I just can't make the investment.
The dollars
and that's
don't
exactly why we set the program up, because one of the really interesting cost conversations that we have and commercial conversations we have, and we've got some really great feedback from partners who have analyzed and calculated how much money do I save based on my own time by not needing to support people myself. So if you imagine if the program didn't exist and you hired someone and you did all the training yourself, you did all the coaching, you did all the professional skills, you answered all their questions when they get stuck, all that time that you would have spent doing training in-house, you could have spent with a customer on a project. We're saving you that time. And the feedback we've had from a few partners is that in the first 6 months, so when people need the most help, the program can save 80% of that time. So that's 80% of time you'll get back to do your job instead of becoming an in-house trainer for however many weeks for the first 6 months.
I want to go back to what I said earlier about the Navision Academy. Based on all the training that you get above and beyond, the cost of $8,500, that's like nothing when you compare, because you get all that extra. When we went to Navision Academy, we just got the foundations of Navision, and we didn't get this, consulting and negotiations and stuff. So that's a tremendous price, value.
It really is. Well, and it also can allow the partner to pay a little bit higher wage initially to that really good candidate, because they're not going to have to put in as much dollars, right, in the training and onboarding effort. That's amazing.
Point. So let me ask you, Sam. So I'm watching the time here, and we're getting to the end of our conversation. But before we do, before we really end this, here's an interesting thing. I see people literally jump. As a partner, all three of us were partners. This is like a win-win all around. There's really no risk. It's a candidate for which, Sammy, like you said, you have a criteria that you have to meet for the partner. We find the right candidate. We pay them a reasonable wage. We go get them through this training program that costs, $8,500 over the span of 52 weeks, let's say, or less, depending on how good they are and how much they want to learn or not learn. But the point here is, where you've made this program up, is this going to be permanent? Like, is this more of a BC Talent thing? Is this more of this is permanent, like ever and ever, from Microsoft's side of the equation here? Like, all the help you're going to give, whatever funding, I guess, internally you give, or your program guidance. How is this more permanent? Like, we're going to see this for many years to come, and you're going to start. I hate using this. Don't look at me funny. Like, and I think Rob and Kim are going to laugh at me. I'm going to say this. Are you going to start getting AI involved?
So, great questions and good questions as well. Again, when we started this, there were a couple of design criteria that we already talked about, like cost, de-risk, but also in the past, across Microsoft, across all countries, there were lots of talent initiatives that were created, and often these were mushroom projects, which basically created, and then people left and the program left as well. So for us, it was important that we created something which was lasting. That's also why we as Microsoft, we are here to shape, to listen to the feedback from the partners. We're not financially involved. Of course, we're not making any money on this. We're working together with a partner that can really orchestrate and lead this. And then we basically, our job is to make sure that it's been put in the spotlight correctly, and that partners are going there. So it's Sam's business that basically is, but it's a program which basically is backed up by Microsoft. Right.
Perfect.
So
yes, if Kurt runs off into the sunset one day, the program will still exist. So we hope that doesn't happen. But
yeah, well, he's going to say he'll get a tan from Miami. He'll come here and visit, get a little ticket.
Yeah. And then the AI thing, Sam, do you want to talk about that? Because it's a good question.
It's a great point. Yeah, I'm amazed it took us this long to get to that. So it ties back to a previous question around, how's the program evolved and does it look different now versus day one? And it does. And I think one of the things that's really important to us as a program is this idea of continuous learning, which is what we do through the community sessions. It's why it's not a get rich quick scheme where we just certify someone and move them on. It's not about that at all. It's about building long-term skills. So through the community, what we do, we ask those experts Kurt talked about before to come in and do sessions for us. And the criteria is latest feature. And for the learners, the criteria is you have to have this mentality of continuous learning. So within those community sessions, what we're starting to see more and more now, every time we redo the schedule, and we're in the middle of doing the schedule at the minute from January to the summer, there's more and more of those sessions which are starting to be AI focused. We're still teaching people the core BC skills that they need to deliver that Business Central project as it is today, but we're really making sure that people have the tools, they have the access, and they have the ability to learn the latest features. And obviously a big part of that is the AI training. So we bring in lots of experts, and the AI training for us is interesting because it's not just about doing a session on Copilot Studio and telling someone how to build an agent. We're also looking at the other side of the AI training, which is how do you approach change management? What about governance within AI? Not just here's the product side of it, but here's what the business impact is and what are good use cases. So we're trying to bring it all into different buckets is how we keep describing the AI training. It's not just here's the Microsoft message and we're going to make sure it's that. We're bringing all of it together to give people the skills they need. And that will continue to evolve. There's the reason we're doing the schedule for the next 6 months is probably because in August, we'll be learning something totally different that we don't know exists now. So we're not going to fill the schedule too far in advance.
Perfect. Well, I know we're reaching our time here, and we always like to ask our guests, it is December, it is the holiday time. So why don't you take a moment or two and tell everybody who's listening to this, what are your plans for the holidays? Is there anything specific you're going to do with either friends or family? But give us a little what you do not thinking about BC Talent or BC right now. So Kurt, why don't you start and tell our group here what you're going to do?
It's a lot of friends and family, most definitely. It's a little bit of sports. It's a little bit of reading. I really like to disconnect and read books, fiction, non-fiction, during the holidays.
Books,
yeah,
you want to read books?
I am a big fan of behavioral psychology books. So everything related to that is something that I'm really, really interested in. I really like books around psychology in crisis situations, that kind of stuff. Like I really, really love reading that. So reading a lot, but my wife was really, really good at packing the agenda full with family and friends. So it's going to be busy.
Fantastic. Sam, what about you?
Well, my main hobby is unfortunately not available to me over Christmas living in the northeast of England. Golf is my pastime. It's just not going to happen for quite a long time. But Christmas for me this year is really interesting. I have a 2-year-old. I probably don't need to say a huge amount more than that, but it makes for a very, very exciting time. The Christmas tree in our house went up on the 1st of December, and one of my friends who has 4 kids said, "You're going to regret that." And I considered taking it down yesterday. Baubles keep coming off. Every time we put them back on, they're off again. They're getting thrown into the fireplace. So I'm going to be doing that over Christmas, which is obviously very fun.
Yeah. Sam, do you do Elf on the Shelf?
Do you know what? I had to ask someone this week what Elf on the Shelf really is. So we're going to avoid it this year. My understanding is you kind of use it as a bit of bribery to encourage the right behavior. We haven't done that. We probably should have. And I'm definitely going to do it next year based on what I've heard.
I have a granddaughter who's one and some months, and it's already a thing at their house. Every morning it's where is the elf, you know?
I'm terrified. I don't know if I don't think I'm creative enough to come up with the ideas, but that probably is something AI will be able to help me with.
There you go. Yeah. Oh, I think they have books now that say, here's a whole list of things you can do. So buy the book. You'll be okay.
I'll do that.
And the little ones are what Christmas is all about, though, right? Little ones and family.
It's so exciting. I mean, he absolutely loves it. We took him to see Santa. He'd been practicing in the living room. You know, I'm going to say, ho, 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 Merry Christmas when I get in there. He got in there and he froze. 6 minutes. He didn't say a word. So, yeah, it's all great fun at the minute.
Before we let everybody go, and of course we say our thank yous and to our people listening and to you guys who have joined us this day. Where can anybody go to find out anything more about BC Talent? What website or what community site should they go to learn more about this, to see if they want to get involved and connect with Sam, obviously, on his side? Where should they go?
It's super simple, aka.ms/BC Talent. You'll go to a website and you'll find decks, you'll find documents which really describe the program in detail. You'll find cases, reference cases. We've got 3 versions of the program. We didn't really talk about that, but everything is properly documented and you can find it over there. But for those who really want to have a conversation, on that page, you'll find the contact form. And Sam, myself, and there's actually a whole team behind Sam, is really eager to come and talk to you to see how it fits for your business.
Yeah, it's a great time of year for it as well. Lots of businesses, as much as they're rushing to get things finished by the end of the year, they're also planning, thinking, how am I going to grow next year? You know, what different people do I need to bring in? What projects are we going to win? How are we going to staff them? So it's a great time to be talking about resourcing plans, training needs, all of those things. So yeah, definitely keen to hear from people.
aka.ms/BC Talent.
I love it, guys. Kurt,
thank
Sam,
you guys so much. It was so interesting.
Yeah,
thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming.
Really happy to be here.
Hey, Feliz Navidad.
A big happy holidays to both of you. A big happy holidays to all the BC3 amigos that are listening and learning from us. And we will see you in January. Thanks, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Bye.